Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob,
I'm Kyle.
and this is JK Sports. And today, as our second video, we're going to be going over the NFL draft. Now, while it is a month away and a lot of different things can change, we got to get something out there. What else in sports is happening in the world? We need to come out with some content. So today, we're going to go over our top 10 picks. So if you'd like to start that off, who would you got number one going?
Yeah, number one, I have Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati. I think it's pretty much set in stone. I don't think teams will trade as much as I expect there to be some trades.
Do you think they should trade him or trade that pick?
Whew. If I'm Cincinnati, no. I don't. I hold on to the pick, even though you can get pretty good compensation for it. I think the team that they put around them and the free agency they've had, I've never seen the Bengals go out in free agency and spend the money they did.
They didn't really get too many guys. I don't think they did that well.
They did better than a lot of teams.
I mean, they still have AJ Green, they still have Boyd, they still have Mixon, they still have decent weapons.
They went and built a defense, and that's what they need help on. And getting Burrow, they can probably be in second place for that division, maybe a wild card.
That could be an argument for trading the pick. I mean, I say this, I also have them taking Burrow. As much as the Dolphins could trade up for that pick to get him, I think Burrow is the guy they need to go for. I mean, Tua with his injury record, as much as you guys know I love him, it's hard to pass on an almost guaranteed pick, which he's not as good as Tua, but he's more of a sure. Yeah, he's still a surefire, or most likely a surefire, really good player. So number two, I think this is probably the easiest pick in the draft. Chase Young.
Absolutely.
Any disagreements? I mean, he had 16.5 sacks, 32 tackles last year. I mean, was triple team on regular occasion. Now, he didn't play well in both the bowl game and the conference championship game.
But that's also because he was triple teamed.
Yeah, and he was but he was playing against better offensive linemen, so it's just a wonder whether he was able to physically dominate, kind of similar to Jadeveon Clowney when he was in college. He was able to physically dominate players, and then he got to the NFL, and he's been good, but he hasn't been able to produce the same type of tier. But you got to take him.
Also, Ron Rivera loves defense. I think he can build a cornerstone defense in Washington around him.
There's arguments for taking Tua, but
no, they traded for Kyle Allen.
They're
going to go with Haskins.
Try out Haskins. Yeah. So, number three, I have a trade. I think it's pretty easy to say that the Dolphins need a quarterback and they can go up and grab Tua. I know you. Are you going to go with the same trade, or are you just going flat with the Lions?
No, I'm just going to go flat out with the Lions. I don't think they trade up. They already traded Big Play Slay. So they are in desperate need of a star cornerback. Yeah. Okudah's going to fill that role. They can get him pretty cheap on that rookie contract. They don't have to pay him too much money outright.
See,
I think he fills that need for a solid 3-4 years.
My argument for that is that I don't think he's worth. I mean, he's a great player. We saw his video, the combine. His footwork is phenomenal. He had 3 interceptions last year. But if you can get a lot of value, if you can get another first round pick, maybe 2 first round picks plus other compensation, it's a very good chance he's there at 5. I can easily say just trade
Giants
back.
Could take him at 4.
Well, if you want to talk Giants, I think they're going to take Isaiah Simmons, who is personally my favorite defensive player in the draft. I just fell in love with him. So we'll get to that in a second. But Jeff Okudah would be a good pick. They do need him. As you said, they trade away Slay. I just don't see him wanting to hold on to that pick if they know the Dolphins are going to go up and want to grab Tua. And as a Dolphins fan, if Tua is if he stays healthy enough, so let's say he plays on average 13, 14 games a season. That's what Carson Wentz has been doing with the Eagles, and they're still consistently making the playoffs. If we get a legitimate backup and just pray pray those ankles hold up, then we can have a legitimate team. But I'm sure you might still say we grab him at 5, so argument kind of for that would be pointless at that point. So like I said, number 4, I have Isaiah Simmons.
This is where we differ. I have Giants taking a wide receiver. Yeah. They are in desperate need of a wideout. They need someone to help Daniel Jones out on the edge. They have probably the best running back in the NFL in Barkley.
One of them, definitely.
And they have no help on the outside for him. I could honestly see him taking offensive linemen, but I think with the need at wide receiver and there being too many star wide receivers in this draft, I think Judy's first one off the board at number 4.
I can definitely see that happening. I mean, he finished the season with almost 1,200 yards last year. He finished the previous season with almost 1,400 yards. It's a toss-up between him and CD for who you think's the best receiver. But I think it's easier to address wide receiver later on in the draft than it is to address linebacker, especially someone you have as versatile as Isaiah Simmons, who can play both not both, can play linebacker, edge, corner, safety. He's a Swiss Army knife. He ran a 4.3, 4.39, 40-yard dash.
Trust me, dude's an absolute monster.
He can do whatever you want him to do. I would love him on the Dolphins, but, I mean, quarterback's more important.
I just think Joe Judge, new coach, wants to build a new team around him. Defense is already set. They tag Leonard Williams. So I think they have their defensive line set. So I think they're going to go offense with that with the number 4 pick.
And that's fair. And then, so our 5th picks are going to be different. Mine is the Lions and the guy I just previously mentioned, Jeff Okudah.
And then my 5th pick is Tua to the Dolphins. I think he's going to be there at 5. I don't think Dolphins necessarily need a trade. I think they can keep all 3 of their first-round picks.
Even with the Chargers behind him?
Even with the Chargers behind them, I don't think Chargers are going to make too many moves. If anything, they might go either Herbert or offensive lineman. Okay. I actually have them going with Herbert at 6, which I'm sure you probably have as well.
I do as well.
They did trade for Trey Turner, who I love that move. They got rid of an old offensive tackle, got in a young one who's a Pro Bowler, and they already have a great offensive weapons. Eckler's one of the most underrated running backs in the league, in my
I agree, especially
opinion.
if you're trying to throw it to him.
And one of the best receiving backs probably in the NFL outside of Cook.
Yeah.
And you have a great wide receiver duo in Williams and Allen. And that defense is pretty much set when healthy. They just need a quarterback, and I think Herbert's that guy for him.
I do not. If you can get Tua, which if the Dolphins don't want to trade up, you can definitely go and get Tua. So I think it would be really risky for the Dolphins not to do that. And we're kind of taking away I'm taking away from Jeff Okudah. I really love Jeff Okudah. I think he's a really good cornerback. I mean, imagine pairing him in Miami. Imagine if he got those 3 cornerbacks. I mean, obviously, I don't think that's realistic at all. But if he's available on that pick, especially for the Lions, if they trade back, that's almost surefire, the best quarterback in the draft. So the next guy, which you just mentioned, I think we both agree on, is Justin Herbert. I'm not that high on him. I like Oregon. I'm not that high on him.
I'm not as high on him as I was. I just think he fits the Chargers system best out of the quarterbacks available outside of Tua and Burrow.
Well, I think it's very easy he could end up being a Ryan Tannehill. I mean, they're very similar players. They both have pretty good arms. They both are pretty decently mobile.
He's more mobile than obviously Tannehill is. I just think he fits that system because Chargers like to really run that West Coast system. He's West Coast oriented. Played at Oregon, they ran a West Coast offense. I think that he would fit in best with the Chargers out of any available quarterback.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tua ran pro style. Dolphins are running pro style. So that's why I kind of don't have Tua go into the Chargers as much as he would be. Obviously a star there. I just think Herbert's going to be the best.
Also, he's probably not going to be available. He's probably not going to be available. I mean, if you look at Herbert, he has almost everything you would want on paper. 6'6", around 235 pounds. I refer to him as a poor man's what's his face, Trevor Lawrence, because physically they're the same, attributes the same, but I don't think quite mentally they're same. I don't want to question a man's, I guess, manhood or leadership. Ego. Yeah, I don't want to question a man like that. But I mean, I haven't seen a lot of fire from him. I haven't seen a lot of desire. There was questions the last 2 years whether football. I mean, very similar to Josh Rosen down here in Miami. We've had questions whether he's really committed to football. The best thing for him, though, is the way he went out with that Rose Bowl game where he brought them down. They were, I think, down most of the game and ended up with a game-winning drive at the end of the game. So our last memory of him is really good, so that is going to give him a little bit of help. But I prefer Jordan Love a little bit.
Oh, I think
Jordan Love's more raw, but I prefer Jordan Love.
Jordan Love's my most underrated quarterback in this draft class. 2 years ago at Utah State, he put up insane numbers. Was it 52 touchdowns and 3 picks?
Yeah.
Now, granted, he lost his entire coaching staff, his entire offensive line, and his entire offensive weapons. It's really hard to put up those same numbers when you lose absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
And he didn't do, obviously, as good as he did this year as he did previously. But I just think his raw talent is up there probably on that same level with Burrow. Maybe you can stretch it.
Whoa, Burrow?
Maybe you mean
Herbert?
Oh, no, his talent's way better than Herbert.
So Herbert, you think Jordan Love's as good as Joe Burrow?
When Herbert had his entire offense at Oregon, he did not put up those same numbers.
Granted, I agree. I don't think he's as
Oregon
good.
Played a little bit of up to par teams with their division, but Utah State went out there and they were number 15 in the country 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And for a team in a group of 5 to be rated as high as that is, you obviously have to have something going right, and that quarterback was it.
And while we do bring up the fact that he lost all his weapons, it is a big drop to go from 32-6. 2 seasons ago, he was 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Last season, he was 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, I believe. That is a massive drop off. And Patrick Mahomes is going to get this guy drafted high because Patrick Mahomes was a guy who was coming in from a smaller school, who was really raw, we didn't know exactly. We knew he had the arm talent. We knew the talent was there, but we didn't know how well it was going to integrate into the NFL. And we see he's currently the best quarterback in the NFL. So it's very similar to Jordan Love. But now moving on from the 6th pick, let's go to the Carolina Panthers, and you have?
I think we have the same pick for this. I think they're going defensive line at Derek Brown.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the best overall defensive lineman in this class.
Well, not linemen, but
defensive lineman.
Yeah, on the line,
yeah,
it's gonna be young, but defensive lineman Derek Brown.
And he put up insane numbers at Auburn. Played great against Bama. Played great against LSU. Shut down. This was, I think, LSU's only game they scored under 25 points was against Auburn.
Yeah,
and
that was a good game too.
Played a massive
that was a really good game.
So I think you putting on him with the brand new coach Matt Rule, who loves defense on the Panthers.
Yeah,
great way to build up that defensive line. They lost a lot of players on defense, especially. And I think that's going to help him out on defense.
I was really surprised that the Panthers decided to go with Teddy Bridgewater in free agency. I thought they were looking to go to the 2021 draft and maybe get Lawrence or maybe get Fields. But
I like the signing of Bridgewater. I really do.
He's a good quarterback. He's not talented, the most talented in the world, but we see if you put him in a position, he's going to succeed. With the Saints last year going undefeated in all of his starts, the only game he lost was the one he came off the bench. So I thought they were going to go into rebuild mode.
We forget how good he was because he was really injured when he was on the Vikings. It was uncertain. Forget how good he is. He was great at Louisville. When he came out, he honestly could have still been a starter on the Vikings today had he not been injured.
He's definitely better than Cousins. I mean, they have similar issues. They have similar issues where he's more athletic, but he's also not as willing to take the big risks as somebody like. I mean, I don't want to use the greatest in the sport right now, as Patrick Mahomes kind of slings it. Aaron Rodgers, when he was younger, slings it. I don't know if necessarily Teddy Bridgewater. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not the most mobile, but he's a good game manager, and he's a smart guy. He's going to come in. He's going to command the offense.
That's what the Panthers need right now.
Yeah, that's what they need. Which, I mean, I would prefer them to wait for Justin Lawrence. Or even maybe
Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence.
Well, they couldn't even maybe gone Jordan Love this year or attempted to trade up for Tua, but it appears they're going a different direction. Now we got number 8 with the Arizona Cardinals. I think everybody had him taking a wide receiver until DeAndre Hopkins walked in the door. So you got to go offensive lineman, right?
I have him taking the best offensive lineman in this class, and that's Andrew Thomas. That fills a huge need for them at tackle, and that can help out Kyler Murray. I don't know what they're going to do with their running back situation because as a Dolphins, watching the Dolphins play for so long, I don't know if Drake's going to be that guy for him.
He came in and did really well at the end of last year.
He did in the few games he did play. But I just think you build up that offensive line. Let's see how Drake does. That really helped out Kyler Murray, and now he has 2 amazing offensive weapons on the outside. And Fitzgerald, who's still going at it, and then you have now adding Hopkins to that team is going to really help him out.
I'm of the same mindset as you with offensive lineman. I disagree with the actual selection. I think Andrew Thomas is maybe the 3rd best tackle. I got Tristan Wirfs. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm not going to pretend here like I know a lot about him, but everybody's got all the scouts got him as the highest going tackle, so I'm going to tend to agree with that. Now, number 9 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's when I have a more fun pick with Jerry Jeudy. They need wide receiver. They need a lot.
They need a whole team.
It's clear they're going for Trevor Lawrence next year, where they've scrapped all their veterans. They scrapped Campbell, Boye, Ramsey, and Trey. So they're getting rid of all. Ngakoue most likely is going to get traded. So, and if not, that is still a good player to keep around. But you need to rebuild, and if you're gonna maybe even stick with what's his name? What's the current Minshew mania? You're gonna stick with Minshew. He does need a weapon, and if you're gonna go for Lawrence next year, you still need somebody to throw him, see if you want to get the best out of him. And I think the best wide receiver, who for some reason has taken a little bit of hate, might not have had. Did he participate in the combine?
I haven't been keeping up with it. So
okay, he either didn't participate in the combine or he had a poor combine, which CeeDee Lamb has kind of rose up in the value market of wide receivers. But Jerry Jeudy, I mean, last 2 years has combined for 2,600 yards, 25 touchdowns. He's not the tallest, but neither is CD. He's about 6'1". He's also not the heaviest. He's only about 190 pounds.
He's not the tallest. He's explosive.
Yeah, it's all about if you use your attributes right. And he did. So there's an argument against Tua saying, oh, he had great wide receivers. And you can use the same argument against Jerry Jeudy, saying, "Oh, he had Tua throwing to him, and he had a great offense line that had a bunch of time to throw." So you can use those arguments for both, but I don't want to diminish the skill level of both players. So, and who do you have the Jets taking?
I mean, Jags.
Jags. That's what I meant.
I actually have them taking Simmons. I think Simmons falls all the way to number 9.
I don't think that's realistic.
I do.
This is my one that I'm really going to disagree with you.
I think Giants have a desperate need at receiver. Judy is going to be that guy. Daniel Jones is good enough to throw the football to him. They already have their need on defense. I just see other teams taking offensive linemen and defensive linemen before they address their linebacker needs. And I think Simmons falls to the Jags. Jags get an absolute steal at number 9. Probably the best player, if not one of the best players in this draft at Simmons. He can play any position they need for him. He can play corner if they needed him to, safety, linebacker, defensive line, edge. He's your, like you said, your Swiss Army knife. And he would be the perfect fit for Jags. Obviously, if he's not there, I don't see them drafting a receiver. I think they might go next year, get Justin Ross.
This
is probably the best receiver in college football. So I think they might wait for him. If not, Jamar Chase is still there.
But I do want to argue one thing though from you. So you said that other teams are going to draft defensive line or offensive line based on need. Where I have the mentality a lot of the time, if you can get a very good player, if you can get what you consider the best player on the board at that position, I believe a lot of teams on that upper end need a linebacker. If you can take someone as good as Isaiah Simmons, I don't think he's going to be available there. So we basically had Jerry Jeudy and him flipping spots. Yeah, we went to 4. I think if you're the Giants and you get somebody level of Isaiah Simmons after allowing Alec Ogletree to walk in free agency, I mean, it's clear that defense needs help. I think he's going to go a lot earlier than pick number 9, but that's fair if you got him there. And finally, to wrap up the top 10, we got the Cleveland Browns.
I think we both have him going offensive line. I just think we disagree on our selection.
Yeah, probably.
He's my second offensive lineman in this draft, and that's Jedrick Willis out of Bama. I have him going to the Browns. Now, you can probably put any offensive lineman there, and that would fit the Browns' needs. They did pretty well in free agency. I would say addressed almost every need outside of offensive line. They got a good offensive tackle. And
those offensive weapons are insane.
Yeah,
you got Odell, Jarvis, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Austin Hooper, and David Njoku, all there. I mean, one of them might end up getting traded. Somebody on that offense has to get traded because they do have other needs. They do need to fill out the offensive line, which is why I have them go with Mekhi Becton instead. But it's just you're splitting hairs at that point which offensive lineman you think is better. So that wraps up our top 10. Is there any bold predictions you can see happening throughout the draft?
The boldest prediction I have, and you probably don't agree, but I have Henry Ruggs falling all the way to 13 and going to the 49ers.
That's not falling. I mean,
he was projected the number 1 wide receiver in this draft due to his combine.
According to who? I mean, we did go over a NFL mock draft, and they did have him.
Most sites I've checked had Henry Ruggs going as the number 1 receiver.
Well, similar to that, I do have 6, possibly 7 receivers going round 1. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, Henry Ruggs, Judy, Lamb. What's to do with the weird name?
Shenault.
Yeah, what's his full name?
Laviska Shenault.
Laviska Shenault. That's an absolutely beautiful name. All right, so that looks like that's it. Thank you everybody for watching. Please get down in the comments and let me know any suggestions. Please let me know as you see Kyle sitting here. I would love to bring you guys all on the show at any point in time. Now this coronavirus does make things a little bit more difficult, but I hope to bring you guys content. I hope to bring you guys some normalcy, and that's what sports brings for us. And I just want to say thank you everybody for watching.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
Sweet.
All right. I probably could have gone too with Motto's falling to 25. Or actually, I should have said Jordan Love.
Oh, it's still recording. Hi guys.
Should have said